Hello, everybody, and welcome to Let the Truth Speak. Here we cover information surrounding the Kroger-owned grocer chain King Soopers, right here in the state of Colorado. So, welcome to a special report here that we've got. I actually got to go to the strike vote yesterday, the second strike vote. So they had a strike vote yesterday and they had one today. Both days are at different locations, but they have the same time. So there's a strike vote at 9 a.m., 1 p.m., and 7 p.m., if I remember correctly. I went to the 1 p.m. one yesterday with a buddy of mine who will remain anonymous, but they actually do allow family and friends to go with workers to these strike votes and meetings and stuff, and I really appreciate that. There is no video recording allowed, though, of any kind, or audio recording, any of that stuff, and I didn't know that. I had a feeling that might be the case going into it. But I wasn't for sure about it, but I saw the sign for it shortly after I got into there, so I actually had to, stop live streaming, because I was originally planning to live stream it on Facebook and try to maybe talk to some people, maybe get a couple interviews, and try to record a conversation with Kim herself. But I saw that sign, I don't know, maybe 4, 5, 6 minutes in to me live streaming, and I was like, oh crap. So I really want to respect rules like that. I don't want to try to break rules or anything just to get, some information. So whether I'm recording it or not. So I wanted to respect it. So I went ahead and took down that live stream and deleted it. I did make another one. Following up to explain that a little bit. But, I did make notes, though. I have a ton of notes here that we're going to go over in this special report today, because I learned a lot of information. Lots of new information, lots of confirmed information, a little bit of even corrective information. So we're going to go over all of it. Even information about the strike process and the benefits, and a bunch of really important info for workers, for you guys, people who are working for Kings, who need to know this stuff. And maybe want to recap on it maybe later on. So we're gonna go over all that today. So real quick, I want to start with a little bit of corrective information, and I'm glad I got corrected on this, and I learned something new. But so there's 2 different strikes, actually, for employees to go on. There are unfair labor strikes, and then there's economic strikes. I didn't know this. So this strike that's happening now, that is going to happen now, I still believe it's going to happen, and the one that happened back in 2022, they count as unfair labor strikes. And as it was explained to me by Kim herself, actually, we'll get into that later, unfair labor strikes typically don't go no longer than at tops a month. They don't go on for extended periods of time. They only go on for several weeks, perhaps, maybe, or until a deal is reached between the union and the company. So I do still stand by my desire that I've expressed strongly in previous videos that I've made, where I really do want people to be striking for like 6 months, 8 months, really stick it to Kings, really stick it to Joe. I stand by that desire. But I'm glad I got corrected on how unfair labor strikes actually go for, the length of them. So I stand corrected on that. Now, moving on, we have another thing to talk about here. Moving on, there's some confirmed information. So there was something I reported on in the previous video, actually. It was in a news article, actually. But I talked about how apparently Kim was saying that King's is applying inconsistent wage increases depending on the zip code, like where you are, or like, you know, by location. And I got confirmation on that. That is confirmed to be true. I apparently only saw the surface level of that information, and Kim actually got to go into detail, a little bit more detail about how that is. It's when she said by zip, it goes by both the store location, the county, and the city. So it is. There's 3 different variables here that really make the wage increases very varied and very inconsistent. And as I've already reported before, it is not across the board for everybody. So having this whole news, you know, difference by zip code thing makes it even more complicated and even more unfair and just plain stupid. So, you know, so that has been confirmed. That was confirmed. Lastly, to confirm a little bit of information, it's just about the contract expirations. Confirmed to list all of the cities and or areas that have so far today, as of the recording of this video, all the contracts have expired for store locations in Boulder, Broomfield, Denver, and Parker. Okay, so all the other locations have not had their contracts expired yet. Not yet. So yeah, I just wanted to confirm that a little bit here. So we are going to move on to the actual information that I have obtained. So I have this broken up into sections here. So let's start off with strike process and benefits information. I want to really go over this real quick before we get into all the other stuff. So this was something I was really happy to hear. But Kim confirmed that the UFCW has in fact garnered back the same amount of money and finances, and it even sounds like it might be more, that they had the previous strike back in 2022. They've actually managed to recoup all of that and then some. So this strike is going to be, at minimum, no less as big as the last one, confirmed, just because of that, just knowing that. And that plays into the other information that we're about to get into too. So the next bit of information is everyone and anyone can actually help the union strike. They can pick, anybody can picket. Union members, of course, get paid and they get the benefits and stuff, while non-union members do not get paid and they do not get benefits. That's pretty much a good summary of it. But apparently, you know, even civilians can actually help picket if you're not going to get paid, of course. It's going to be on your own time and out of your own heart, your own beliefs. But apparently, you know, if I wanted to, even I can go out there and picket if I want. And I think that's pretty cool, actually. So, you know, that was actually cool to hear. So the next thing is UFCW will maintain employee benefits during the strike. So if you know, so that means you have your health benefits and stuff that you get from you know, whatever King's third party, you know, benefits is. For anybody who is a union member and who is going to go on strike, the union will make sure that you actually maintain all of those benefits while you're on strike, which is phenomenal news. It's going to be cool actually striking and still being able to get your benefits from doing so. The next thing that they talked about is the pay. This is the last thing I'm going to talk about for the information. This is what I'm very sure this is the main thing that everybody wants to know about. Okay. So unlike what Joe has said in previous statements, you lying sack of shit, the union, I will double confirm it in this video. I've talked about it before, talk about it again. The union will pay to strike. I repeat, the union will pay you to strike. You're not going to go out there and not get paid to be doing, no, you're getting paid. And we are definitely going to go over the details of this here. So, as I've already stated before, but I will restate here again to clarify that union members get the pay and the benefits. Non-union members do not get that pay. Now, from my understanding, from what was briefly talked about, if you are somebody who is a new hire or somebody who is still in their probationary period, you can, if you talk to a union rep, you can actually sign up to be a union member. It's literally not too late. It's not too late. Even if the strike is confirmed, okay, and the strike is officially announced, everybody goes on strike. You can still choose to actually talk to a union rep and be like, hey, I'm in my, just explain to them, hey, I'm a new hire, I'm in my probationary period, and I haven't signed up to be a union member yet. Can I sign up to be one? And once you do, you can then join the strike. And then you will get the benefits. You will still maintain your benefits, and you will get paid for it. So just talk to a union rep, contact somebody in the union, and they will get you set up for that, and they can get you set up for that. And I'm sure they will be able to do it swiftly. But so now to talk about the benefits, the pay specifically. So this time around, I honestly don't remember exactly what the pay was in the last strike back in 2022. I admit I kind of forgot what it was. All I remember is that I was getting paid more than what I was getting at King's. I have done the math. I was actually doing the math during the strike vote as I was sitting down. I was actually doing the math in my head when they started talking about this on stage to see if that kind of dynamic is still going to be a thing this time around, because the economy has changed. Everything's changed. Cost of living has gone up, and even King's has very slightly and unfairly barely increased their wages since the last strike. Very much not up to snuff, but I digress. And based off of what I calculated, that is still a thing. The pay that the union is offering, you're still going to get more money. You're still going to get more money. For those, and I'm going to put this into context here. So let's go over it. So the pay for the union that they are offering is $160 for a full day of picketing. So that's 8 hours or more. If you're out there 8 hours or more, it's $80 if you're only picketing for a partial day. Okay, so that's like, maybe 4 or 5 hours or less. This also equates to, or in other words, $800 a week. Okay, and there is a $100 honor pay bonus. Okay, and this $100 honor pay is only awarded to those who never cross the picket line. So as long as when you go on strike, as long as you never cross the picket line, you will get that extra $100 honor pay. All right. So I also want to emphasize here that all of this pay is not taxable by the government. It is not deductible in any way. So that $800 a week, you get every single penny of that. There are no taxes, there are no deductibles, there's no fees, there's none of that bullshit. You get the whole thing. Okay, now let's break this down, because keep in mind, when you're working for King's, okay, when not striking and you're working for King's, you do get deductions off of your pay. you do get, you have to pay for the union fees, the union dues. You have to pay your taxes. You have to pay Medicaid. There's a bunch of deductibles, from your pay. So to break this down for you, if you're somebody let's say you're somebody who's reached the max pay in whatever department you're working in, you're somebody who's worked long enough with the company, so 7,800 hours, and you've reached the max pay that you can get in the company in your department. Let's say it's like $23.11. Okay, so realistically, if you count your deductions in, the taxes you have to pay, the union fees and the union dues you have to pay, you're grossing $23.11 an hour, but you're with after deductions, after taxes, you're actually netting only something like 17, it was something like $17 or $18 an hour. Okay, and it actually might be a little bit less than that, but that's the amount of money you're actually getting in your pocket. The rest of that money, it's going towards the government. It's going towards the taxes. It's going towards the union fees, the union dues. It's going towards Medicaid. Okay, so you're actually netting less. We're going to go ahead and say less than $19 an hour at best. At best, even if you're somebody who's earning more than $23 an hour, let's say you're earning $25 an hour, you're still netting, not grossing, netting less, for sure, less than $19, maybe even $18 an hour. For the union pay, since you are not getting deducted, you're not getting taxed, you're getting every single penny of it, this amount equates to netting $20 an hour. Not gross, netting. So you are, in fact, if you go on strike, you are, in fact, going to be making, if you work a full day, every day, all the times that you go, you participate in the strike and you never cross the picket line, you're guaranteed to be making more money than you're making with Kings. Guaranteed. That's wild. That's wild, and I'm glad to hear that is still a thing. You guys are going to be making bank out there. So that's the thing. If I remember correctly with my calculations, even if you don't work a full day every single day the strike goes on, let's say the strike goes on for 10 days, just like it did last strike. Okay, let's say it goes on for 10 days, okay? And you did a full day maybe on 6 of those days, let's say, and then you do a partial day on the other days. I think you're still walking away with more money. I think you're still actually might be, you're either walking away with at least the same amount of money that you'd be getting at Kings, or I think you might still be making a little bit more. That is great news to hear, and I really want to emphasize that to people for you in this video is the pay part for sure. So there you have it. Now, let's move on to the next section. So information that has happened before and last time. This is information. This is technically not new. Anybody who's been here before with the company for a long time and was here with the 2022 strike and even before that, this is information we've all seen before. We have experience with this. There wasn't even any need to confirm this because we see it ourselves. I've seen this, but I do want to go over these points, just to kind of bring it home and to really emphasize and nail it here so that you guys understand what's going on here and what they've been doing for many, many years. But let's go over it. So the first thing is that Kings is removing union posts from their boards in the employee lounge. That is absolutely true. That is absolutely true. That's nothing new for those like me who have been there, but in case, for the newbies and for the people who aren't, a part of the strike and are just watching this to catch up with the news and stuff. For those who don't know, yes, Kings is very known for doing that. Even if a strike isn't happening, it's just during normal times, a contract was reached and we're just working. Even during that time, I've seen store managers take down posts. I've actually talked about this before in a previous video, but I really, again, want to emphasize it here. Kings is notorious for ripping down union posts, crushing them up, throwing away, even putting them in shredders. They are very known for communicative interference between the union and the workers. It's, that ain't new. This is a common tactic by them, and they really ramp it up during times like this, when negotiations are going on, agreements haven't been made, and a strike is looming over everybody's head. They will just double down on it and intensify their interference with union communications. It's sick. It's sick. Next point is Kings is ordering union members to remove their union apparel. This is also true. They did this in the last strike. They've done this before. Absolutely. They straight up have been asking people to remove their union pins, their union shirts. And that's actually, I can't say, Kim claims that it's illegal, but I haven't confirmed if it actually is. But I feel like it actually might be. I feel like that might count as at least workplace discrimination. It's definitely against. If it ain't against the law, it is certainly against the contract. It's certainly against the rules and the rights of union, companies and our rights. So that is definitely something that they've done all the time. They're doing it again now. Moving on, Kings is blatantly asking people to resign from the union. Absolutely. This is something else they've done before. They did this. I saw them do this back in the last strike. They're doing it again now. This is very sick of them to do, and it's really telling. Of course, I get it on a business level. If your company is about to get striked against, of course you're going to try to get people to be like, hey, you can recede from the union and keep working with us if you want. And you won't get penalized for it at all. On a business level, of course they're going to do that. But in this particular situation with Kings and in the last one, and just taking in consideration everything I've talked about already here on this channel and all of the issues that are going on, especially with Kings and Joe, this is just, it's so telling when they do this, when they just come up to people, and when strike votes are happening and a strike is just about to be authorized, they're like, hey, resign from the union. That's telling. It's messed up, and it's just, they're just throwing themselves out there, and just they might as well just get a megaphone and announce to the freaking world that, hey, we're a corrupt company run by corrupt people. It's hilarious, honestly. But yeah, they've done it before. They're doing it again now. Next point is Kings is interrogating union bargaining members about bargaining outside of the meeting room. This is also something that is not new, and anybody that's been with the company for a long time knows this. They've done this in the last strike too. They always try to hound the union workers and bargaining members and stuff outside of negotiations about negotiations. It is so disingenuous. It really shows how non-caring the company is about this stuff, and how so blatantly disconnected they are, not only with their own people, but with negotiating. And it really shows how unfaithful they are. They are absolutely operating like this. Alone tells you, and anybody else who knows this, that Kings is so operating and negotiating in just bad faith. Very, very bad faith handling of situations like this. It's terrible. And they're not allowed to do that. That's another thing I want to preface here. They are not allowed to talk to union members, bargaining members. They're not allowed to talk to them, ask them questions, or interrogate them outside of the meeting rooms. That's what the meeting rooms are for, guys. Hello, Joe. Wake up, buddy. Are you like Sleepy Joe, our previous president? Are you like that too? You've been smoking a little too much marijuana, bro? Get the fuck up, man. Like, this is the whole reason why negotiations exist, guys. This is why meeting rooms exist. So that you can do your interrogations and your questionings during negotiations. It's called communication. Get on board with that, so good God, they're not allowed to do that. Next point is King's violated Section 7 rights and has attempted to trick employees into crossing the picket line. This is something that they've done before, and this particularly, in case y'all didn't know, actually is very illegal to do. That is quite illegal to do. The Section 7 rights exist for a reason. And Kings is known for breaking this all the time, but they are doing the same disgusting tactics now. They're actually printing false false and fake union letters and handing it out to people, and on those letters it's claiming that the union is saying that you are allowed to enter some kind of agreement as long as you sign here, that you're allowed to cross the picket line without losing benefits. Completely untrue. It's false. It's illegal. And the way they're blatantly going about doing it is so disingenuous. It's so disgusting. I actually was told by an anonymous source that somebody that they know, one of their friends actually fell for this. And they found out the hard way, and they got penalized really hard. And unfortunately, I don't know if they're like fighting to reverse it. I don't even think it is reversible, even under these circumstances. But it's sick, man, because they're really trying to trick people into violating union rules. Into violating the law, I'd go so far as to say, crossing the picket line and disrupting and losing your benefits. That is so messed up. That's so messed up. And this is the kind of interference operations that they're known for running. This is what I was talking about before. It's sick. So, that's all the information that is not necessarily new. And anybody who's been with the company knows none of that stuff is new. They're infamous for doing stuff like this, especially during times like this. So you guys got to be vigilant out there, and do not fall for this company bullshit. Trust me, they're not worth it. They're not worth it. Joe is a sick man. This is a corrupt company. There is a small little club that runs the company. It is very obvious. I've talked about this before. And don't patronize them. Don't fall for this crap. Vote for the strike. Vote for the strike, guys. You have a massive amount of support to do so, not just from the community and from your fellow members and from the union, but you have support even from people like me. And if you shout loud enough, you will get, as proven in the last strike, you will get support even from government officials. So don't allow yourself to be stepped on. Let's get out there. And let's stick it to them. Let's show them that we're not having this bullshit. Okay? And the rest of the stuff that we're about to go through is really going to drive that desire home. So let's move on to the next section. UFCW and King's negotiations information and timeline. This was very interesting to hear. Because Kim talked a lot about this during the strike meeting here. So and I learned a lot of new information. Now, of course, I haven't heard King's side of it, and that's because they've been doing a piss poor job at really saying anything that isn't a lie at this point. It's not that I don't want to get their side of it, but it's like, how can you when they're just constantly, continuously pushing out lies, false information, misinformation, trying to make the union out to be these big bad people, and really downplaying the effects that they are having on the employees and the community itself. Like, so, you know, makes it hard to even want to get their side. I'll admit. I'm not trying. I admit I do have a bias against Kings because it's blatant how bad they are. But at the same time, you know, it's hard to try to be reasonable with these people because they are inherently not reasonable, and you're about to find out here. So the first thing that Kim talked about is so let's go back. Let's take a step back here. Let's go all the way back to the beginning of negotiations when they started back in October of last year. So we're going to go down the timeline here just a little bit. From what has been explained, Kings initiated the negotiations this time around. It wasn't the union. It was actually Kings. So as soon as the contract ended, at least for the Denver metro area, you know, the first main contract ended, Kings was the one that came to the table first. And apparently they initiated negotiations very aggressively. Very aggressively. I don't know if that's in a negative connotation or if just like they were like, hey, let's get this going. It was, from what it sounds like, it's both. It's both. It's... Man, let's just listen to this stuff. Apparently, Kings was under the assumption when they started negotiations that they were actually going to win the Albertsons merger. Get a load of that shit. They actually thought that illegal bullshit was actually going to work. And thanks to that, it was very obvious to the union members and to Kim that they were trying to rush the negotiations, because they thought they were about to have this boon, this new weapon, Albertsons, to kind of use against the union and the employees and the community and kind of loom it over everybody's head to make some kind of bullshit deal, you know, and kind of force their hand on things. But, you know, so thanks to that little assumption of theirs and them rushing the negotiations, it caused even more problems. Apparently, Kings refused to lay vital data, especially around staffing, on the table during negotiations. So they didn't even want to talk about like even bring up the actual data that they have on their staffing issue. And honestly, that makes sense to me, because when I was I've talked about this before, but when I was a Promise team lead, I got to go to a summit meeting, and they literally ignored their 93.8% turnover rate. They just blatantly ignored it. So that lines up with their refusal to lay vital information around their staffing data of all data. And that is so bad faith. That's so disingenuous on their part. And they want to sit here and claim the union and Kim are negotiating bad faith. Look, Joe, the cards are stacked against you, bro. Seriously. You really don't have a right to be saying that when right now it's not looking good. You're saying and doing a lot of things that are not supporting that argument. Moving on to the next topic. You know, thanks to them not doing that. Apparently, also from what Kim was explaining, is that Kings has fumbled with providing correct information on their end. So they're actually being, it's almost like they're not being serious. Like they're making, apparently from how it was explained, they're making a lot of mistakes when it comes to the data that they are presenting, the data that they decide to actually bring to the table and show the union, and actually comply with showing. When that does happen, apparently there have been multiple instances across the 14 times that they've met that they would accidentally present false data, incorrect information. They even straight up explained how some people were saying, like, they were arguing with the union and, having this big back and forth and trying to fight back on things. But then eventually they would take a step back and admit, well, actually that was a typo. What? Like, what? Guys, this is an important fucking negotiation, okay? This is something that's not just going to affect your asses. It's going to affect the employees, the goddamn community, the state of Colorado, the people who fucking live here. And you're going to come to a meeting and be like, oh, I'm sorry, there was a typo on these documents. You guys have had 3 damn years to prepare shit, all kinds of shit, to gather all kinds of data on your staffing, on your sales, on your internal policies, on your employees, your management, all kinds of stuff, the impact that you have on the community. You have 3 years, not a day. You don't have 3 hours to get this. You've had 3 freaking years. 3 years to prepare for this, to gather information and to neatly, how hard? You could pay me to go into your systems and gather up a whole bunch of data, and I'll have that all neatly stacked and collected for you so that you can actually bring this stuff to the table when you actually go negotiate with the union. How freaking difficult is that? One person can accomplish this shit. And yet you're going to come into this stuff and having a constant, consistent excuse of saying, oh, well, that's a typo, or, oh, this is false information, my bad. Are you serious? And apparently, aside from fumbling with their own information, Kim claims apparently that the corporate management has been very lazy and uncooperative, and not only negotiations just in general. So in other words, they're acting in bad faith, but they're even, not being on time for the meetings. Like, they're being late. And in fact, it's even worse than that. A lot of them aren't even showing up at all to most or all 14 meetings that have been had. And this was the biggest mic drop that I would argue to say that Kim explained to everybody. Joe Kelly himself has not shown up to a single meeting. He hasn't come to any of the 14 meetings at all. Not even the first one. He didn't show up to the first one. Apparently, the only people that have been showing up to any of the meetings are basically just corporate figureheads. They're just people representing the company. It's not the company leadership themselves. It's just a figurehead. It's just some dude or some woman, some person that the union is talking to. And of course, the union is supposed to be a representation of our voices, of the employees' voices, of the community's voices. So this is basically an equivalent of us not even talking to the people that run the company. Yeah, that lines up pretty well with everything that I've talked about in previous videos. And no, we can't. We have got to strike against these motherfuckers. Seriously, we cannot let this level of disrespect is insane. Not just to the union, but us, to us, to the community, to the workers, to your own employees, Joe. You know, the guys who actually bust their asses so that you can make all the money that you make, so that you can run the company and fund your lavish lifestyle that I'm sure you're probably enjoying right now, instead of taking the time to attend these goddamn meetings that are extremely important to talk about so that you know what's going on in your company. Geez, no wonder why you guys are so quick to ignore such large and important issues going on with your company, because you're not connected with your own company. You just want to shadow run it. Like, what kind of bullshit, man? Like, we cannot let this shit happen, and I'm certainly not going to let this shit stand. Like, this is why this channel exists. Like, this is so insane. This is so insane. The next thing that they talked about with this stuff is Kings to this day, even though negotiations are over and they haven't scheduled any, because apparently Kings just stopped talking, you know. But to this day, Kings still hasn't provided important data like staffing and sales. They still haven't done that. They still haven't done that. They still haven't brought it to the table. You know what else they haven't done? This is a situation that I've been waiting to bring up with. And this comes from an anonymous source. They will remain anonymous. But you know what else they still haven't done to this day? There was a worker, a new hire actually, that just recently signed on with Kings, who hasn't gotten paid yet. He hasn't gotten paid yet. He's still waiting for his checks. He's still waiting for his checks, and he's fighting against it. Right, he's fighting for it right now. And now, of course, we're about to go on strike too, so that makes his situation even worse. But yeah, no, like he's dealing with a situation that, once again, really does not make you look good, Joe. It doesn't make the company look good, especially right now in the midst of a potential strike. You're treating employees like garbage. You're not paying people for their work when they should be getting paid. It doesn't matter if they're new hire. It doesn't matter if they're on probationary period. Look, King Soopers offers paid training. At least they did when I got hired in 2014. And as far as I know, that has not changed over the years. That hasn't changed. So not only are you getting paid to train, but then you're this is one of the things that they actually advertise. They tote their horn about this. Especially when I got hired, like they like to brag that they not only pay for training, but they also immediately pay you. They give you immediate full-time pay, because when you get training pay, the real pay gets cut in half a little bit because it's training pay. But then as soon as your training is over and then you start that first day, it immediately switches over to the real pay rate that you're getting as an actual full-on employee. And they brag about how they go from training pay to real pay immediately. Instantaneously, and you get paid immediately. Your pay periods, your paychecks, your weekly pay stubs start immediately. That's the whole reason why I went for King Soopers in the first place, is because of their ability and their system to have paid training and to immediately go into employee full-time pay. Like, that's the whole reason why I went for them, because at the time I needed money as fast as possible within a 3-week span. And Kings was the best way to go because they offered that and it worked that way. So this information that I've been getting from anonymous sources lately about them not following through with that anymore and missing people's paychecks without any explanation at all is bullshit. is absolutely bullshit. So not only are you still not providing important information to the union in order for negotiations to be had in good faith, to actually have reasonable, talks, but you're also not paying your employees either. So you're missing data and money. Yet you've made more money than you've ever had before. Like, come on. Good God, man. You're a joke. Joe, you're a goddamn joke. And good God, man, I hope this strike gets approved, man, and I hope it goes through. So let's move on to the next section here. We have brand new information that I got yesterday. I'm going to start off with King's apparently has been inconsistent with policies around criminal records behind employees and new hires. So apparently how it was explained is that they are being extremely inconsistent with people who are working with the company and have some kind of criminal record, or maybe they commit a crime, while they're employed, and they get penalized for it. They get penalized, and then you get terminated. Before your judgment even comes down, before you even get sentenced for your crime, you get booted out immediately by the company. However, when it comes to new hires, they're willing to literally hire straight up criminals, just people with a criminal background, with a criminal history. And if those new hires commit a crime again, let's say they don't have a criminal record, but they do commit a crime, a new hire within their probationary period, they do not get the same penalties again from the company as people who have worked with the company for years do. Very inconsistent policies there. And that's a very important policy too, especially in the city of Denver, considering that Denver is a sanctuary city and there is a bunch of immigrants in that city. And let's be real here, spilling out of it and going into the state of Colorado as a whole. So the whole criminal records policy thing is especially nowadays, is a very important policy now more than ever. It is more important than it has ever been now. And the fact that they're being that inconsistent with it and playing that loosely and unfair with it is very, very wrong. Very wrong. The UFCW is now covering the first Whole Foods store. This is big information. They are moving in to start covering employees of Whole Foods now. And apparently, I didn't confirm if this happened last year or at the beginning of this year, but they are now covering the first Whole Foods store ever in the state of Colorado. And they are currently fighting for, their benefits, their rights, and stuff like that against the Whole Foods company. So I didn't confirm which Whole Foods store it was. I'm not entirely sure where it is, which store it is, but it's the first one. It's the first one ever. So that was big news, especially for the union. The next thing that they talked about, this is the last one, and this was big information. Teamster has been confirmed that they are going to honor the picket line of UFCW strike against Kings if this time around the UFCW strikes for 24 hours, all hours of the day. So this is very big news, and this is also very new, because this was not a thing the last strike. This was not something that was a thing. We didn't pick it for 24 hours. There was actually a lullaby period. And it was because we wanted to make sure, people, one, stay safe, because there's a safety concern. And two is to make sure people actually get a chance to sleep, but they're changing. They're changing, now that Teamster has come out and announced this and confirmed this, they're changing the way the scheduling is going to be done for picketers this time around, because they want to try to go in with that deal with Teamsters. And this time around, unlike the last strike, we will be picketing for 24 hours now. So there will be overnight picketers now, which is very interesting. Very interesting. Personally, I have a feeling that I think, this is no slight against them, but I think the UFCW might have some issues trying to fill those picket lines, though. At least the ones overnight. Not everybody is an overnighter. A lot of people don't like overnights. Even people who do work overnights, if they can avoid it, they don't want to do overnights. Some people just have to. They have no choice. But a lot of people who do work overnights, that's just how they are. They're night owls. They're night owls. They like to burn the midnight oil. So I'm sure those people will probably be able to fill them. I'm concerned because I don't know if they're going to end up having enough people to sign to fill those overnight picketing roles. But we'll see. This is a whole new thing. This was not a thing in the last strike when I was participating in the strike. So this is going to be a very interesting new dynamic for sure. So that is for all the new information in that category. Now let's go over the last well, it's not the last, but it's like it's the next. Let's go over the next category here. So this was something I was very happy to get to do, actually. But when I was at the strike vote yesterday, I actually got to speak to Kim Cordova herself. And if she ends up seeing this, shout out to you, girl. I'm really, I'm behind you. I'm really glad and grateful for the work that you do. But I got to speak to her directly, and I got to speak to a couple other people too directly. Couple of key members, and I got some very interesting and very concerning information, and I'm very much going to go over it here. But let's go down here. So from what I've been told, across the 2-day vote so far, so yesterday and today, and we had a talk yesterday, so this was kind of an in-the-moment information, so this was based off of solely yesterday's information from what they saw. The first 2 vote gatherings, so the yesterday's 9 a.m. one and the 1 p.m. one, and of course I can attest to this because I was at the 1 p.m. one, both of those times had 0 objections to having a strike. Every single person in the room voted yes. So that is very telling. This is why I strongly believe that the strike is going to happen for sure. I very much look forward to hearing the announcement because the day's over. The strike vote is over. I'm sure probably right now they're probably counting them, and probably they'll finish counting them probably tomorrow morning. Maybe we'll see. I'm very much anxious and waiting to hear what the official announcement is going to be, like the vote count and stuff. If it's unanimous or if it's majority, we'll see. We'll see in maybe tomorrow or at least in the coming days. But based off of what Kim was telling me, how they have seen those first 2 gatherings so far, and the fact that there were no objections at all, that's telling, man. I really think the strike is going to happen for sure. There was a lot of passionate people. There were I'll say this, it felt like when I was there, it felt like there were more passionate people this time around, more than the last strike. There was more passion present here than compared to the last strike. There was a lot of people wanting to ask questions. There were a lot of people who wanted their voices to be heard. It was like 3 or 4 times during the meeting where people were shouting, "Open the box," let's vote, because there's a lot of, you can feel it in the room. There is much more anger and frustration coming from the people and the employees compared to last strike. This is why you can feel it. You don't even have to be present to feel it. You can see it in the news reports, the way Kim talks, the way this whole thing has been kicked off. Like, you can tell that this strike for sure, I think for sure, is going to happen. It's not going to get overturned. This is going to happen. And this strike is going to be way bigger than the previous strike was. You could tell because another thing Kim said is a lot more people have showed up so far from what she could tell already compared to the last strike. That the turnout rate has been massive. It has been massive this year. So that's really, really big news on that. But, you know, I really think this is going to make history. This is going to make UFCW Kings history here in Colorado already, because the turnout rate's high, and just the fact that there have been back-to-back unanimous decisions for yes. Hey, you know, making history here. Kim said that she and the union are ready both financially and physically to strike for as long as it takes. So I actually got to ask her a question. You know, with the amount of money that they've gathered and how they've laid out the pay rate, you know, system for paying out picketers and stuff, and the fact that they're promising to keep the benefits active while you're striking. With all that into consideration, I asked her, like, you know, how long do you think you can keep that up? Like, because last time around it was, you know, 10 days, but how long this time around? What is your projection on it? Like, how long do you think you guys will actually be able to keep that up? You know, financially wise, will you guys be able to go for a long period of time? And, you know, not only did she confirm that they got back all the money that they spent last strike, and then it sounds like I didn't get a confirmation on this, but it sounds like they got more too. But she straight up said, like, they are both financially and physically ready to strike for as long as it takes. If it ends up being longer than the last strike was, so if it ends up being 15, 20, 30 days even, now the goal is to not take that long. But if it does come to that, they're ready for it. So that was good to know. That was the biggest question I had for her. To be honest, it was the number one thing that was on my mind. I was like, you know, I really want to ask him, like, how long they think they're going to maintain it if it comes down to a situation where they have to continuously keep striking. So that was nice to hear, because that was something I wish I had known in the last strike too. That was something I was curious about, because there were days where we were out there and I was like, I wonder how long this is going to go. And I was kind of worried, because I was like, are they going to be able to keep paying us? Because this is a lot of money. So, you know, but hey, I got it right from her mouth. So, you know, it's confirmed. It's confirmed. They're ready. They're ready. They're big time ready this time around. Another thing I was really happy about is that I actually got the opportunity to this was the other thing that I'm really passionate about, and I've shown this passion on previous videos, and I've talked about it, but I'm so happy that I actually got to directly suggest to Kim herself and several other key members to address widespread in some way, some kind of warning, give some kind of warning to all members, all employees, everybody who plans on going to strike, everybody who's going to vote yes and is going to be out there, to maybe this time around, unlike last time, this time around to give some kind of warning, something, or some kind of PTA, you know, announcement or whatever to everybody, against the public violence and aggression. And this is something I'm really passionate about, especially after I saw the last strike around. I think it's important. Unfortunately, Kim did not address this on the stage yesterday. And I kind of hope they take what I said to heart yesterday, and maybe they decided to talk about it on stage today. I don't know if they did. I didn't go to the one today. But I do hope in some way, whether it's through emails or it's through a group chat or something, I really hope that this time around they make that clear, and they make some kind of warning or some kind of game plan to address that issue. Because a lot of people, I feel like a lot of people in the last strike were really thrown off guard by that. And a lot of people, myself included, honestly went into the strike not ready for that. we were not ready to see the amount of violence and aggression that we ended up getting from the community, from a lot of bad actors, from all these people who were yelling at us, arguing with us, trying to kill us with their cars. And I actually learned a tidbit of information from Kim, actually, that I did not know. There actually was somebody who actually died the last strike that we had. Somebody legitimately was killed. It was vehicular manslaughter. Somebody actually got ran over by a car. And unfortunately, I don't know who it was, but unfortunately, they didn't make it. They didn't make it. And I'm not going to lie, I had no idea that happened. I only heard just rumblings and rumors, and I heard people talking about, like, hey, people are trying to harm us, like people are trying to come at us with their vehicles and stuff. But I was under the impression that nobody got hurt, but we were seeing that violence towards us. I had no idea somebody actually died. And when Kim told me that, that just, I'm not going to lie, right on the spot, that just increased my passion for it even more. And that's why I was glad and very happy that I got the opportunity to stay around long after the vote had ended, and actually talk to Kim herself and to a couple other people, and just blatantly tell them, like, hey, this time around, I think there needs to be a thing for this. Even if it's something as little as just a warning, some, like I said, some kind of email, and be like, hey, just so you guys know, prepare to see violence, prepare to see aggression, be safe out there, be very safe out there. And another thing that ties into my passion about this, and again, I'm very glad I got to express this to everybody and Kim herself, that I really do believe it's going to be much worse than it was the last strike. Violence and aggression from a lot of bad actors and bad people in the community, I really do believe it's going to be a lot worse than what it was before. Because you have to remember, we all have to remember that we just got done with quite possibly the most controversial election in my lifetime in this country. Not to mention, the economy is completely shot right now, and it has been for years. For several administrations, our economy has just been going downhill. And specifically here in the state of Colorado, the cost of living in the economy is completely destroyed. We are literally becoming the second coming of California. So taking all of that into consideration, that, all of that's been happening in the past 3 years since before the last strike, that tensions are really high right now with everybody for many reasons, but it's mainly for political reasons and for economic reasons. So if this vote goes through and we go on strike, there's going to be a lot more people that are going to get pissed off. There's going to be a lot more people that are going to get triggered. And we're going to see, I guarantee you, I will bet money on this, that we're going to see a lot more aggression and a lot more violence than we did the last strike. So that's why I'm so glad that I got a chance to address this issue to Kim and a couple other people. And I'm glad they allowed me. They so graciously allowed me to bring this to their attention. And I really think that there needs to be some kind of protective emergency plan for stuff like this. Obviously, 911 exists, police exists, and that's obviously going to be the go-to thing. It was before, it will be again, But I think there also needs to be some kind of contingency plan, or at least some kind of warning internally with amongst the union members and amongst the employees this time around, because we didn't get that last strike. We didn't get that. And people got hurt, and apparently somebody died. So this time around, I think that needs to be among one of the focuses this time around. It's more a matter of when we do go on strike. This time around, that needs to be something that is at least among one of the priorities. for sure. So I'm really glad I got to talk about that. The last thing that I got a chance to talk to people about is, let me tell you, man, this is a wild story. This is quite possibly one of the craziest stories I've heard in a while, concerning King Soopers. In fact, I want to say this is probably the craziest story since the shooting happened in, if I remember, in Boulder, if I remember correctly. So apparently, I got to talk to I believe who was the union rep or the store, some kind of management, somebody up there in this store. But apparently, they mentioned it on stage, and I'm so glad that I got to talk to the person directly after the vote, and we had a long conversation about this, and I got to ask him questions about it. I didn't get to confirm all the things that I wanted to confirm and ask all the questions I wanted to ask, but I confirmed most of it. I got a lot of information around the story. But apparently, a week ago, there was a legit murder at store 98, King Soopers. It was a legit homicide incident. This was literally just a week ago. Somebody was murdered in the store. I did not get a chance to ask this person who exactly was murdered. Was it an employee? Was it another customer? I don't know. I didn't get a chance to confirm that, unfortunately. And I didn't get a chance to confirm who the perp was. Were they an employee, or was it somebody who walked into the store? It's based on the way they were talking. It sounds like they were not an employee. It sounds like the person who committed this crime was not an employee. It was somebody from the community. It was a criminal. It happened a week ago. I don't know exactly what day it was, but it happened at around 4:30ish p.m. in the afternoon. So it was literally broad freaking daylight. Apparently there was no security guard at the time. There was no security guard. I don't know what security company goes to company. I know it ain't mine. Little tidbit about me. I currently work for a security company. I will not say who, but I am a security guard myself currently. But I know for sure it wasn't my company. But I don't know what companies. From what I've heard, there's 2 different companies that King's outsources to. One of them is Sparky's. I don't know who the second one is. So they could not confirm which company was supposed to be guarding at the time, and I don't know if they were supposed to be guarding. It sounds like there was in fact supposed to be a security guard at the time of this incident, but there was none. They had no guards. The store was left open. Upper management, when they were notified what happened, they had a very delayed reaction to it. And by the time they even came to the store, by the time they even addressed the issue and were like, hey, what's going on here? Guess what? They didn't do a damn thing about it. They did not lock the store down at all. And they were delayed at even calling. In fact, if I remember quickly, they didn't even call 911 or notify the police at all. It was the person I was talking to. They were the ones that had to get the ball rolling on all that stuff because upper management refused to do anything about it. And that is, this story is, let me, oh my God, like I'm so mad about this. It's hard to really express myself here. Let me just say this, man. This story is so fucking insane. And it is completely outrageous because for God's sakes, we recently had a fucking shooting at a King Soopers. People died. People died from this. Okay? It was all over the internet. It caught international attention across the country, across the world even. It was a serious fucking incident, and people died from it. We lost people. We lost workers. We lost employees. Good people. Good people. And you know, and this person was allowed to just walk in and just shoot up the goddamn place. And we just recently had this happen. And you mean to tell me, Joe, you and your stupid fucking club can't not only properly hire even a third-party company to be clear, hey, we need 24-hour guards and surveillance here at our stores to protect our workers and our business. Not only do you fumble and fail to enforce that and make it clear to these people like, hey, we need guards, but then you're gonna come here and send your little club members to the store and not at least lock down the store and be like, hey, we just had somebody murdered here. We're going to have to ask everybody to leave, evacuate the premises. We're going to lock our doors. We're going to lock the store down for the rest of the day. You can't even do that. You can't even do that. You're not even going to call the goddamn police to investigate the shit. You're just going to leave it to somebody else to do that. Are you fucking serious? When we just recently had a damn shooting at a King Superstore. This story is crazy. And huge respect and shout out to Kim and the union to bringing this story to light and talking about it on stage so that everybody knows about this. Everybody knows about this. They didn't go too into detail about it. They just briefly mentioned it on stage. And even that, I'm glad that they did. But I'm really glad that I after the vote, after they got off stage, I went up to the person who was there and who handled this situation. And by the way, the Store 98, to clarify, Store 98 is in Colorado Springs. This happened in Colorado Springs. Okay. And I got to actually have a long conversation with this person, and I got to ask a couple questions, and I got the full details, the full story of what happened and how this whole incident went down, and more importantly, how it was handled and how the company responded to it. And it's batshit insane, insanity. That considering that we just recently had a shooting at one of our stores, at one of their stores, this is how they handle a straight up homicide incident inside one of their stores? Like, that is crazy. That is crazy. And this story is so fucking infuriating, man. I cannot, man, when they mentioned that on stage, I tilted my head up. I was like, what? Are you serious right now? Like, I couldn't wait to talk about this. I couldn't wait to get up and be like, hey, I need to talk to you. Like, what happened? Like, I need to ask questions about this. Like, that is insane. That is insane. And this is a story that needs, and it's sick because I've already seen the mainstream media is not talking about this. They're not talking about this story. This shit just happened a week ago, and it's not plastered all over the news. You'd think it would be, considering that recently we had a shooting. So you'd think the state of Colorado would be overly sensitive right now to any kind of additional killings, even if it's just one person, happening in grocery stores. And you would think King Super's Joe, you'd think Joe Kelly would be more sensitive to anything else going forward happening inside their stores on a violent, aggressive, or just straight up homicidal manner. Yet they want to come over here and not even lock the fucking doors. They don't even want to shut down the store. Hell, if I was in charge, I would have done that immediately. Before I even called the police. Well, no, I would have called the police first to get that rolling. And then immediately after hanging up, I would have gotten on the goddamn intercom system and been like, hey, we have had a serious situation here. Somebody was murdered. We need to have everybody leave the building. Evacuate the building immediately. I am calling for an emergency evacuation. Everybody leave. Everybody get out, go home. You know, like I would lock the shit down. Lock the shit down. They couldn't even do that. And yeah, it was confirmed that the guy got away. The person got away who committed the crime. They got away because they didn't lock the store down. They didn't have a response team to it. There was no security guard. There was nothing that could be done. And the police didn't get there fast enough. So the person got away. Now, I think they had a follow-up call yesterday, actually, from the police. And I admit, I don't remember if he said they got a report that they're tracking the guy or they found the person, or I don't remember. But either way, at the time of this incident, you know, it was not handled well at all. If, in fact, it wasn't even handled, apparently, by the company. That is insane. And the fact that mainstream media is not talking about that is fucking crazy. It's crazy. Instead, they want to talk about the strike, which is important, but instead they want to talk about the strike, and in the way that they're talking about the strike, every damn news report, every damn Colorado news outlet is just mostly perpetuating Joe Kelly's fucking constant lies, inaccurate information, and just false statements. Instead, they want to try to run that shit in the mainstream media, in the news outlets, in the newspapers. Instead, they just want to push lies in this false fucking agenda and this false narrative. Instead, they want to pull that shit. Instead, they're not talking about, even as a sub-article, they're not talking about this fucking homicide that just happened at a King Soopers a week ago. Are you serious? This is why I hate mainstream media so much, and I can't believe people play into this shit. I can't believe people just lick up this damn propaganda. These clear, if you do your own research and you actually do your own, look into what is actually said and actually get the full context of things. I can't believe people play into this false, blatantly false narrative, propagandized bullshit that mainstream media and these news outlets are pushing, especially here in Colorado, because all of them are not only politically biased, strongly politically biased, but they constantly pump out fake news and false information. For God's sakes, I've already proven it in the last video that I've made, and I will continue to prove it for as long as this channel exists and as long as the strike is happening. I'm going to keep pointing this shit out until somebody actually gets some common sense, wakes the fuck up, and actually smells the coffee and see what's going on here, what's really going on here. Because we're allowing these people to brainwash us and push this propaganda into our minds, while stories like this, while incidences like this happening at Store 98 is happening. And we're not giving enough light to it. We're not talking about the real information that needs to be talked about. And instead, we're just rolling along with this bullshit narrative and these just blatant lies. It's insane. This is why the strike, I have said time and time again that the strike isn't just about King Soopers. It isn't just about the bullshit that they're doing to us as a community and to their own workers. It goes beyond that. It ties into a bunch of other stuff, political stuff, economic stuff. And this is statewide. This is countrywide. All of that stuff plays into the flames of dissatisfaction, frustration, and anger that people like me in the community and the employees of King Soopers are expressing and showing, are just trying to get Joe Kelly and all these corporate jackasses out there who maybe want to defend Joe Kelly and King Soopers and Kroger. We're trying to get you to understand this shit is wrong. Okay? This shit is wrong. There's a difference between trying to run a company and trying to run a fucking narrative. There's a difference between actually trying to do what's right and actually run a company in good faith and do what's right for your employees and business so that your business can thrive, as opposed to just nonchalantly ignoring your fucking issues and not addressing anything or not caring about anything that your employees have to say at all, and just dominating and just trying to corruptly control your employees and the community. There's a fine line between that. And I'm sorry, but there is no defending corrupt actions like this. There is no defending how Joe is running King Soopers. There is no defending how Kroger is not handling their own subsidiary. There's no defending that your company coming into a store where a homicide just happened and not locking down the store. There is no defending that. I'm sorry, but there's no defending that. For God's sakes, kids come into these fucking stores. I work as a security guard. I get to see this shit on a daily basis. So I know what it's like on a structural and security level. And this kind of nonchalant behavior is unfucking acceptable. Period. There is no defending that. All kinds of people come into grocery stores. Kids, children, families, mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters. People who can potentially have their lives at risk. And it's not just the customers, it's the employees too. And people want to sit here and talk about how strikes have economic impacts. Bro, we have security issues, for God's sakes, that you're allowing to happen. Fuck your supposed economic impacts and oh, it hurts companies and shit. And as Joe said, oh, it hurts the community and the company and our employees because they don't get paid. Fuck all that shit. Yeah, I mean, I've already talked about that and debunked that in previous videos. But to stay on this specific topic here, fuck all that shit. Fuck the money. Fuck the pay. We're talking about people's lives here. We have had shootings, murders. Come on. And you're going to sit here and complain about how, oh, well, the workers don't get paid when you're not even willing to give across-board wage increases and you're not even willing to get actual effective security in your own damn stores. And on top of that, you're not even willing to address these issues yourselves in a competent way. Instead, you want to be so fucking incompetent around this shit and not even lock your goddamn stores down when the police haven't arrived yet, when somebody just got murdered. Are you fucking serious? This has got to stop. This has got to be pushed back against. There is no defending shit like this. And you want to sit here and wonder why we want to go on strike? For all you people who wanted to yell at us about getting a job, and stop striking and stop defending our rights, people who wanted to get aggressive and run us over with your cars, this goes to you. You wonder why we want to go on strike? You wonder why we're so pissed off, we're so mad, we're so frustrated? You don't know what's going on. You don't know what we have to deal with on a daily basis. This is why this channel exists. It's so that I can educate you, because I've been there. I have worked for Kings. I have worked as a security guard as I am now. I have seen all of this shit from many different angles. And when you come and yell at us, you don't fucking know what's really going on here, and you don't care to know. And that's what we want you to do. We want you to be informed. I want you to understand in full detail all these lies and propaganda and false bullshit that all of the media companies and all of these news outlets are pushing onto you and brainwashing you with. I want you to know the real truth of what we have to deal with on a daily basis, on what's really going on behind the scenes. Because understanding is everything. Understanding is everything. Because if you knew what was happening, I guarantee you wouldn't be rolling down your windows and yelling at us to go back to work. We all need to know what's going on here, and it is not being talked about enough. It is not being pushed enough, and not enough people are caring, and not enough people are not doing the right thing. We need to start doing the right thing. This is why I created this channel. This is why. Now let's end out the video with a little bit of unconfirmed information. This is the last thing I want to cover. Kim claims that Kings was going to buy over 120 store properties or something like that and then sell them to CVS, I think is what she said. I'm not entirely sure. Somebody feel free to correct me on that. But it's a claim. I haven't been able to confirm this or not. She talked about it on stage. I don't know if this is true or not. Honestly, I wouldn't put it past them, because it sounds like they were trying to recoup after the deal crashed and burned with Albertsons, and then they start getting sued by a whole bunch of people over it. It sounds to me like this claim that Kim is saying about buying over 120 store properties and then selling them to CVS. It sounds like they were trying to recoup losses. And financial financial loss that they are going to have and they are still experiencing thanks to those lawsuits. And that is, if that's true, and if I can somehow find a way to confirm that actually happened, Joe, you're so disingenuous. You're such a jackass. Man, you're such a jackass. That is so wild, man. That's such a wild claim. But that's it. That's all I wanted to cover for this special report. To clarify, special reports going forward, if a special report happens on the channel, it could happen at any time. It could happen. It could end up being a double upload, and I won't put a time limit on it. And so these special report videos could go on for prolonged periods of time. It could go on for an hour, 2 hours. It depends. It depends on the information that comes out. But the goal is to not be doing this frequently. So real quick before I end the video, I do want to talk a little bit about some housekeeping stuff, and because I haven't talked about this yet, but I do want to. So I want to make this clear to people who are going to support this channel and who are going to watch this channel going forward and get all their information. Potentially, I don't want you to solely get your information from me, but people who do like to get their information about the King Supers stuff that's going to be happening now from this channel. I just want to explain my plans and my goals and my ideas here for this channel. So the first two videos that I did, and the last two videos that I did, those were special videos. Those are special uploads. That's why they're so ridiculously long. That's why they're over 2 hours, almost 3 hours long, because there was a lot of information that I wanted to cover. I wanted to introduce myself to you, and I wanted to get all that covered before the strike vote happened, so that you guys can go back and watch that and get an idea, the picture of everything that's going on here. Before going forward, all of this stuff starts happening, and before I start covering other things, because I plan on covering a lot of stuff. There are still stories from my time in Kings that I want to tell and get out there so that people know how immoral Kings actually is behind the scenes. I'm sure there's going to be more news reports that I'm going to go through so that I can pick out what's a lie and what's not. There's, obviously I'm going to be covering the strike, as I have said before, but I will be covering the strike live. So I'll be doing live streams and stuff. So there's a lot of plans that I have. And when it comes to video formats and videos like this, the only time a video is going to go over the hour mark This is what I want to try to do. But the only time a video is going to go over the hour mark are special reports. Obviously, the first two videos, because those were special circumstances, and live streams, obviously, and stuff like that. That's it. The special reports and live streams. The weekly videos that I want to try to pump out at least once every week, those videos I want to try to keep a little bit more short form. I don't want them going any longer than at most 45 minutes. Ideally, I want them to just be about 30-minute long videos, but it depends. It depends on the context, the information that I'm presenting, and my editing skills. So it really depends. But that's my idea. That's the goal. I don't want the weekly videos aren't going to be, hour-long videos like these videos have been recently. And like I said, special reports, I will allow those to be an hour long because some special reports might have a ton of information like this one. Other special reports may not, so, but the weekly videos, to clarify on that, I want to try, we'll see, but I want to try to pump out at least one video a week every Monday. Every Monday I want to try to pump out a video. I will also be pumping out shorts too, to kind of, so you can get like snippets, clips of things, of bits of informations that I cover, in previous videos, no matter how long or short they are. So believe me, I do have plans to make shorts too, going forward from here. So, that's the thing. The live stream setup for YouTube is unfortunately specific. There are rules around it. You actually can't live stream until you get something like 50 subscribers or something like that. So unfortunately, my plans and my ideas on how I'm going to do live streaming is not, at least for now, are not going to go the way I originally wanted them to, because unfortunately, as it stands right now, I can't live stream on YouTube because I don't have enough subscribers. So I instead, for now, I didn't want to do this, but for now, I will just be live streaming. I will be doing the live streams for strike coverage on my personal Facebook page. I really didn't want to have to do that because I kind of didn't want any of my career stuff to leak into my personal Facebook page. But for now, I'm just going to have to settle with that. And for now, I'm just going to do and whenever a live stream happens, I'll post about it. I'll try to put it in the community section on the YouTube channel, and I'll also make a Facebook post about it. But for now, I'm just going to have to do the live stream directly on Facebook. And then afterwards, I will rip the live stream off and have a replay version of it uploaded as a video on here on the YouTube channel. So that's the best I can do. It's the best I can do for that. So that pretty much is the plan. And that's the idea going forward for this space. We'll see how closely I can stick to it. I'm not gonna be overly strict on myself with these rules, and I'm not gonna be overly strict in general about it, because I do have a life. I have other things that I'm doing. I'm making music, check out my music channel, and plus I have a day job. So, as I've revealed in this video, I'm a security guard. So, I have a bunch of other stuff that I have commitments to, and so we'll see going forward, how consistent I can try to stay. So I'm going to say it right now. I'm not making any promises. I'm just laying out the general idea that I had in mind for this channel and for this space. So forgive me if a video that was supposed to come out on Monday ends up coming out on Tuesday or something. Like, it depends. I'm going to try my best to avoid that, but I wanted to clarify that right out the gate. I'm not making any promises here. I want to try to be consistent, but I'm also kind of playing it loosely here a little bit because I have a lot going on. So, but anyways, enough of that. Let's end the video out here. thank you for joining me here and listening to all the new information that I got and all the very passionate rants that I have about a lot of these topics. This is very important stuff. This is very important stuff. And I really think this is important. Like this needs to have more attention a lot. We need more voices on this. And I am passionate about this. I really am. And I think this is really important. This is important. And I really felt the need to do this. I can't really properly explain it, but it just, when I heard that the strike was about to happen, I was like, I got to do it, man. I got to get on this because this is so important. And so many people don't understand what's happening here. So I'm here for it. And thank you for joining me. And remember, here, we let the truth speak. I'll see you guys later. Have a good day.